Assalamu alaikum, children. So we are continuing wherever we stopped from in chapter 3, right? That is, I explained you all like how Maggie is having a bad day, right? Because she was disappointed. She was disappointed because her father didn't take her to fetch Tom from the academy, and also she's getting angry at her mother because her mother is always talking about how to take care about her looks, where Maggie didn't even care bother an inch about her looks, right? So here we get to know another part of Maggie, where Maggie has a favorite place, a favorite retreat, a private place of her own, where she used to always go and express her emotions, talk out her feelings, right? So that day also, similarly, she goes to that same room, that is the attic, right? Attic is a small storeroom. So she goes there and she starts to cry because she's disappointed and angry. So now let's see what happens by moving on to the next page. At last, the sobs grew quieter, and a sudden beam of sunshine made her run to the window. The sun was really breaking out. The sound of the mill seemed suddenly cheerful, and there was Yap, the queer white and brown terrier with one ear back, trotting about and sniffing vaguely as if he were in search of a companion. It was irresistible. Maggie tossed her hair back and ran downstairs, seized her bonnet without putting it on, dashed quickly along the passage in case she should meet her mother, and was quickly out in the yard. Here she danced round and round, singing as she danced, Yap Yap, Tom's coming home, and Yap danced and barked around her, as much as to say, if there's any noise wanted, I am the dog for it. So now what happens is, at last, she was crying so much, her sobs became quieter, right? And suddenly she saw that the sun was shining through her window. So when she went out to the window, right, she heard the sound of the mill, right? That is where that mill is her father's business, right? Sound of the mill, right? It has started. So for Maggie, the sound was always cheerful. She loved the sound of the mill, right? And also she saw through the window her dog, Yep. Okay, he was a terrier dog. A terrier dog means one type of a breed. Okay, you can check it in internet. A terrier dog, it's woolly dogs. Okay, terrier dogs are. So Yep was his name. So what she did was, she saw the dog and she couldn't resist means she couldn't stop herself, that she ran downstairs, right? She ran and she went to the dog, right, outside. So there she started to sing and dance around the yard, jumping around, saying that Tom's coming home, right? That is, she was so happy that she was dancing around the dog, singing and barking and dancing around the dog. So even the dog, Yep, was like started to dance and bark around her, right? As if to say, if there's any noise, I'm the master of it. I can make as much as noise you want me to, right? So now, uh, one more character, a new character enters. That is Luke. He was a head miller. Head miller means in the mill, he was a head in charge of all the other staff, the employees, right? Hey, hey, miss, you'll make yourself giddy and fall down in the dirt, said Luke, the head miller, a tall, broad shouldered man of 40, black eyed and black haired. Maggie laughed and stopped her dancing. Look, may I go into the mill with you? She asked. She loved to wander through the great spaces of the mill and often came out with her black hair powdered to a soft whiteness that made her dark eyes flash out with new fire. The steady noise and the unresting movement of the great millstones, the flour forever pouring, the fine white powder softening all surfaces and making the spiderwebs look like fairy lace work. It all helped to make Maggie feel that the mill was a little world apart from her everyday life. The part of the mill she liked best was the corn hutch, with its great heaps of grain which she could sit on and slide on. She was in the habit of doing this as she chatted with Luke, to whom she was always very talkative. Today, as she sat sliding on the heap of grain, she said, "I think you never read any book but the Bible, do you, Luke?" So now they are expressing another, favorite thing about Maggie. First was her favorite place, the retreat, that is the attic. Then another thing was she loved the sound of the mill. When the sound mill, everyone started working the machinery. That is the thing they have explained in this paragraph, right? She loved to go inside the mill and wander through the mill everywhere, right? Because mill is where they grind all the grains to powder, right? You get this wheat flour, rice flour in a mill only, right? So now what happens is goes right inside the mill. So there they have expressed her passion, right? Her love towards the mill. She loved to go inside the mill, and from her point of view, they have explained that paragraph. She loved to wander, that paragraph. So they have explained the book from her point of view, how she loved to go, inside the mill, and hear the noises of those machines working, right? And that flour after the grain is grinded, right? You get the flour. So she used to watch that. She loved all that. And also she has explained there, that how these cobwebs inside the mill, right, it all looks like a fairy lace work, right? See how she views all those things. And also she loves those, as I said to you before, when because in the mill they grain that they powder the grains, right? So they get the flour. So when they grain, in the air also it will be misty because of those powder of the flour, right? So she loved to get her black hair full of that soft white powder in her hair, right? So that her dark eyes would flash out, because she had very black dark eyes, right? And she always felt that whenever she went inside the mill, she felt happy, right? And it felt like she was living in a different world, a world of her own, that is apart from her everyday life, right? A world of her own, a little world for herself. She thought it that way, right? And so now the most favorite part of the meal she liked was the corn hutch, they have said. Corn hutch means, children, where they have gathered all the corn, right? Corn grains, right? In a store, in a room, in a place, in a corner. They have gathered all the grains, right, in one heap, lot of grains. So that is her most favorite part, because she used to go there and slide down on the grains. If there are a mountain, a heap of grains like a mountain size, right? So she used to slide on that grains, right? She loved doing that. So right now also she met Luke, right, the head miller. So she goes inside the mill, and also now she's doing the same thing in the, like, she's sliding down the corn grains, right? And she's now talking to Luke, right? So she asks Luke whether Luke had read any book other than the Bible. You know what is a Bible? That is their religious book, right? Christians and Catholics' religious book is a Bible. So she's asking, other than the Bible, have you read anything else? She's asking this question from Luke. Now what happens is let's read this page. Here you can see in this picture, this is what you call a corn hutch, right? Heaps of corns are gathered there. Then only they are put in sacks, right, and sent to be grinded and stuff. So this is the picture they have shown. The picture where Mary is talking to Luke. No, miss, and not much of that. said Luke with great frankness. I'm no reader. Why? You're like my brother Tom, Luke, said Maggie kindly. Tom's not fond of reading either. I love Tom so dearly, Luke, better than anybody else in the world. When he grows up, I shall keep his house and we shall always live together. I can tell him everything he doesn't know, but I think Tom's clever for all that he doesn't like books. He makes beautiful rabbit hutches. Ah, said Luke, but he would be very vexed to find the rabbits are all dead. And now, what happens? Now, Luke admits that he is not a much of a reader, right? He does not hide that fact, right? That he does not read, he cannot read, right? He frankly, in an open way, he says that he does not like to read, right? So here, Maggie is again, we are talking about, sorry, Maggie is again talking about Tom here when she hears that Luke does not like to read. So she said it's a similar situation with Tom. She's also explaining it there. And she's saying that Tom is not fond of reading. He doesn't like reading. And there she see how she's expressing her love for her brother, right? I love Tom so dearly, Luke, better than anybody else in the world. So she loved Tom so much, you can see from the words she expressed itself. So she's saying that when they grow up, that they would keep that house and always live together, both of them, right? And she says he can't read only, but I will say everything he doesn't know, I will teach him, I will update him, say him whatever he doesn't know, right? But she also talks about Tom's cleverness regarding the outdoor things, as we talked earlier in the second chapter, right? Where I said to you, Mrs. Taliver is saying that Tom is clever at outdoor things. So here Tom makes fishing nets also, and Maggie reveals another one. He also make rabbit hutches. Rabbit hutches mean houses where rabbit lives, right? So now what happens is Luke says that uh, he will be very vexed. Vexed mean worried. He would be that Tom would be very worried to find out that his rabbits are dead. So he had built a rabbit hutch in order to keep his rabbits safe, right? So now his rabbits are dead. Now let's see how Maggie reacts to this. Dead? Screamed Maggie, jumping up from her sliding seat on the cone. Oh dear, Luke. Tom told me to take care of them and I forgot. Oh, he will be so angry with me. I know he will. And so sorry about his rabbits. Oh, what shall I do? Don't you fret, miss, said Luke soothingly. But Maggie did fret. Alright, so before that, now what happened is this rabbits was the responsibility of Maggie when Tom was in the academy. Academy means a school, a tuition like a thing, right? So Tom has, said Maggie to look after his rabbits while he's away. But Maggie, she has forgotten to do that. So from this, we are getting to know another trait of Maggie, that she is forgetful. Another character, another quality. She is forgetful about things. She forgets things, right? So now she's starting to get nervous and scared because she thinks that maybe Tom will be angry with her, right? Don't you fret, miss. Do not fret means again worry. Don't you worry, okay? Now Luke is convincing her soothingly not to worry, right? But Maggie did fret, and when Tom arrived, her heart was fluttering with anxiety as well as excitement as she stood beside her mother and watched the gig drive up to the door. Mrs. Tulliver stood with her arms open. Maggie jumped first on one leg and then on the other, while Tom descended from the gig and said with masculine reticence, "Hello, Yap. How are you, old fellow?" Nevertheless, he allowed himself to be kissed willingly enough. He was one of those lads that grow everywhere in England, and at 12 or 13 years of age, he looked as much as alike as goslings. A lad with light brown hair, cheeks of cream and roses, full lips, indeterminate nose and eyebrows. He was as different as possible from Maggie, with her olive skin and black hair and dark, flashing eyes. Maggie, said Tom confidentially as soon as his mother had gone to unpack his trunk. I'm sorry, children, I couldn't move on to the next page, right? Yeah, so we are doing this, right? So now, let me explain that paragraph first. So before moving on to the next reading section. So now Maggie, she started to get nervous, and also she's excited also because Tom's brother's arriving, and also she's anxious. Anxious means nervous and scared because she doesn't know how Tom will react, right, when he um, gets to know that his rabbits are dead. So now Tom arrives home, right, and he is pampered by his mother. He kisses his mother and his sister, right, and he talks to his dog, right. So now they are describing in that paragraph, right, that he was, his looks, about Tom's looks, that he was as normal as a boy, as every boy in England, right. So all boys who live in England, right, at about 12 or 13 years of age, like those boys only he looked. They had a similar look. He also had a similar look. He also looked like a 12-year-old England boy, right? So they have described about his looks there. He was a lad. Lad means a boy with light brown hair. So he had light brown hair and cheeks of cream and roses, full lips, indeterminate nose and eyebrows, right? So he was completely different from Maggie, right? He was fair while Maggie was, she had a olive type of skin. Olive skin means most probably like a little bit dark tone, right? And her hair was black while Tom's hair was light brown. Okay, those in looks also they were completely opposite. So when their mother goes to unpack Tom's trunk, right, he calls Maggie aside, right, and he tries to show something to her, that is to guess what is in his pocket. You don't know what I have got in my pocket. He drew something half out of his right hand pocket. What is it? Said Maggie in a whisper. I can see nothing but a bit of yellow. Why, it's a new guess, Maggie. Oh, I can't guess, Tom, said Maggie impatiently. I can't bear guessing. Please tell me. Tom said, well then, it's a new fishing line. 2 new ones. One for you, Maggie, all to yourself. I wouldn't buy any gingerbread or toffee on purpose to save the money. And here are some hooks too. We'll go fishing tomorrow by the round pool, and you shall catch your own fish, Maggie, and put the worms on and everything. Won't it be fun? Right now, when their mother goes to unpack Tom's trunk, right? So when their mother goes to unpack Tom's trunk, right? But so Tom shows this thing he had bought when he was in the academy, that is the 2 fishing lines, sorry. So that is, one was for Maggie and one for Tom, because Tom loved outdoor things, so he also loved to go fishing. So here, as one point you need to remember, you need to know, right, that is as much as Maggie loved Tom also equally loved Maggie, right? From this itself we can see where he cuts down. He had saved his pocket money, right? That is, he had not bought any toffee or gingerbreads for himself. He had saved that pocket money, right? And he had not bought one fishing line, not for himself, but he had bought 2. That is, one for Maggie and one for Tom, for himself, right? So he loved his sister so much, and he wanted to go on fishing together, right? So here you all can see clearly, as much as Maggie loved Tom also equally loved her, right? So we'll continue this lesson the next day. I hope you understood this chapter, children, because chapter 3 is a very very long, so I have to separate this into three classes. So yeah, thank you children.